Good evening, folks. My name is Bill Rawlings, and with my wife Stacy, we own a little farm called Rawlings Farm. On this farm, we raise beef cattle and meat goats. So this episode will be a introduction to our farm and a little history of how we became Rawlings Farm. So to start off, I grew up on a small farm in north central Maryland. On this farm we grew crops and beef cattle, and my interest was more in the livestock, so that's why we have livestock on Rawlings Farm. So after college in the early 2000s, I decided to add meat goats to the operation. I started off with 3 goats from the local stockyard. One of them was a boar type filly, and the other was supposed to be 2 nannies. Those 2 nannies turned out to be a nanny and a stag, which is a 1-testicled male. So he wasn't much good for producing babies. And it turns out that the doe also was missing one of the claws to her hoof, so instead of the cloven hoof, she had 1 hoof. So just a little warning, check out what you buy at the stockyard if that's the way you're going to build a herd, so you don't get snookered. After a year of playing around with these 3 goats, I decided to go to a reputable producer and buy 5 doelings. These doelings were probably about 6 months old, and I raised them for a little while, and in the fall I bought a billy goat, and from there I've just grown. So fast forward about 10 years, I end up meeting my wife, who is from West Virginia. We're in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, and when evaluating where would be the best place to raise a family, the royalness of the eastern panhandle was a lot better than the part of Maryland that I was from. So I decided to move from Maryland to West Virginia to continue my the next chapter of my life. When I moved to West Virginia, I brought 50 goats. About 30 of them were young market kids or replacement does. The others were breeding stock, 2 bucks and probably about 18 does, and also 5 cow-calf pairs, and there was a bred cow. And interesting story, wasn't too long after she got off the trailer here in West Virginia that she laid down and had her calf. So we started out with 6 cow-calf pairs here in West Virginia. So in the past 6 or almost 6 years, we've grown the goat herd. We have 40 or about 75 goats. 45 of those are breeding does. We have about 4 bucks right now, and 20 replacement does, and then some other market animals for that aren't quite ready to sell. And we also have 2 beautiful children. The day before we got married, we settled on the farm that I'm at now. We had our settlement, and then we had the rush to the rehearsal dinner, so it was kind of exciting and hectic time right before we got married, but it makes for a good story. The goals that I have for this YouTube channel is to inform prospective boar goat breeders or other prospective farmers into some of the good and bad experiences that I've had, so people can also learn from my experiences and provide a resource for people that want to learn about goat farming, boar goat farming. So we'll take a quick tour of the barn here. I have some does that are getting ready to kid. I have some does that have already kidded. So just show you some of the goats that I'm working with right now and give you a sneak peek of what's going on the farm here. Here are some of our bred does that are waiting to kid. There's about 5 of them in this pen. These are the older does. In the pen next to us, we have some younger does. I put them by themselves so they don't get beat up by the bigger does. As they get older, they become more territorial. Here's a little buck kid that was born yesterday. He weighed 13 pounds, and that's one of the biggest kids that we've ever had. He's a single, so that's part of the reason why he was that big. And one thing that we'll look at right here is, see the teats on his mom? In a future episode, I'll probably talk about calling goats, but when the teats start to get this shape like that, that is a good sign that it's time to say thank you for your services and part ways with the mother. Here's another doe that just kidded today. She had a set of buck twins, and they're doing good. A little bit later I will process them and tag them for identification purposes. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask or like this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.